I hope your day is full of menorahs and lahaims and the hora. You got to have the hora. It's a Jewy intro, guys. We have an amazing episode of Shank for you this week with the one, the only comedian Robby Hoffman. But before we get into this week's episode of Shank with Robby, there's just a few things I want to tell you about. One, I'm coming to the DC Comedy Loft the 14th, 15th, 16th with Kim Congdon. 5 shows. Some tickets are still available. Get those on the DC Comedy Loft website. And then December 12th, Kim and I are returning to the main room of the Comedy Store for This Bitch and Friends in the main room. So buy tickets to that as well. And then next April, I'm coming to LOL Fest in Canada. So if you're by Nova Scotia, get tickets. It's going to be a fun time. And Kim's also on that as well. And you can find me here every Wednesday on Shank and every Monday on This Bitch. But before we get into this week's episode of Shank with Robby Hoffman, there's just one thing I want to tell you about, and that's Oh Yeah socks. Oh yeah. If you're like me, there's nothing that makes you more excited than putting on a wild sock in the morning. Right now, I'm wearing badass socks, okay? It says bad, and then there's a picture of a donkey. Do you want these in your life? Yes. Do you need these in your life? Yes. They make amazing stocking stuffers. It's time to think about stocking stuffers, guys. Wake up. Christmas is around the corner. Shop ohyeah.com. They make amazing slippers. Whether you're into alligators or flamingos, there's a pair of slippers for you. And you can shop Oh Yeah, that's 3 O's, HYEAH.com. Discount code Sara, SARA, 10 for 10% off unique sock and slipper designs. And then, as always, patreon.com/Sara Weinshenk for bonus content. And let's do it. Let's get into this week's episode of Shank with the one, the only comedian Robby Hoffman. Guys, here it is. Should I officially start?
We should hit start. If there's a button.
We're rolling, baby.
You got the cameras rolling and everything?
We got the cameras rolling.
How's the sound?
The sound is good.
Check, check.
Check, check. 1, 2, 3, check.
Remind me your name.
Sarah.
Sarah.
We're off to a great start.
Okay.
Sara Weinshenk.
Yeah,
You're
because
Robby Hoffman.
because your Instagram handle
Is Princess Shank.
that's what I'm saying. So that's why I was like, what's
What's the deal there?
the name?
What's going on with her?
And my middle name is Sarah.
It is?
Yes. Are you with an H or
No
without an
H.
H?
You have an H?
It's pretty barbaric without an H.
No,
What are
but I
you,
don't
an
think we
animal?
need it. I don't think we need it.
It's a nice.
It's Sarah.
You know what it is? Sarah. It's softer with the H.
Is it?
It's Sarah.
And with
Okay, Sarah.
Yeah,
Even
yeah.
though I don't think Sarah
Yeah.
is with an H. So my point,
Yeah.
you'll notice I'm a walking contradiction.
Right.
I'm very with the wind. I might say this, I might say that.
And I think I like that about you so far.
Thank you. And I have convictions for both. I have conviction whether I'm right or wrong.
And that's important.
Yeah.
It's important to have convictions. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Shank. I'm Sara Weinshenk. And today's guest is the one, the only comedian, Robby Hoffman.
Here she is in the flesh.
Here you are in the flesh. Yay. Where are you from originally?
Originally from Brooklyn.
Okay.
And Montreal. I grew up mostly in Montreal. My mother is from Montreal.
Do you speak French?
I do. Tu parles français?
No.
Okay. I always assume when people ask me if I speak French, c'est la loi là-bas. It's the law over there. You have to speak French.
Is that what you just said? It's the
Yeah.
law? It's the law that you have to speak French?
Oh, yeah.
Did you take any Spanish classes?
No.
Wow. They made us take Spanish, but I grew up here.
Yeah, well, I always went to Jewish schools, so I took Yiddish
You did.
and then French.
Did you get bat mitzvahed?
Yeah.
Oh, hell
I mean,
yeah.
not like an official, girls are religious Jews. We don't have I'm not reading from a religious text or anything. I had a really good party, though.
What was the theme? Did you have a theme?
No theme, just
Really?
a party, swank.
I respect that. Some of these, I was a personal assistant for this woman, and she had twins, and they had a bar mitzvah, and they had a theme, and it was
Well, because
all
we
she
had no
focused
money.
on.
So my
Yeah.
mother making me this bat mitzvah was such. She really went out of her way to make me a special bat mitzvah. I'm the only girl. I was like the first girl because when I had my bat mitzvah, we were in Montreal. We were less religious, still pretty conservative, but way less religious. And I was really the first girl to have like a bat mitzvah party. And I went to like a rich Jewish school on subsidy. So they all did have the parties you're speaking of with the giveaways and the themes. But my mother really wanted me to have a nice party, and we did it in my grandfather's party room of his building where he lived. He had kind of like a conference room or a room that you could rent for a gathering.
That's cool.
And my sister DJ'd, and we got some I remember being embarrassed. We went to Dollarama or something, and we got like clappers and different toys for the dance floor. But it was really just a party. And the fact that I was even able to have it was just
fun and
was
exciting.
just a great thing that I got to have one because it was potential that we couldn't afford to do it to have it. I remember there was this idea of a group bat mitzvah in my class, where the girls at 12, like some of the rich moms would get together and they would do a group bat mitzvah. So it was like $5,000 all in. The girls would have a speech on something, like a moral component to it, and then they would have a big party. But I remember my mom, I was best friends with one of the lead moms of this brigade.
Okay.
The moms were all hot. They all drove white Mercedes. They all had nothing to do all day but PTA and these types
hot,
of things.
rich Jew moms.
Hot, rich Jew moms. And my mother is a bookish, she has hundreds of records and books and plays music, is for sure on the spectrum.
Your mom's a musician?
Yeah, she plays the guitar, and she's, at the library every week, very different.
Right.
But because we were best friends, me and this kid whose mom was the hottest of the moms, was the ringleader of the moms.
Yeah, okay.
Shout out to Tina and my best friend, Allie. I actually got this bracelet from Allie for my Sweet 16. But she invited my mother. She called. She said, Connie, your kid is at my house all the time. I want you to, I'm hosting the first, because my mother was very intimidated by these women.
I feel like they're scary.
Yeah, they looked hot. They were always wearing, great outfits. Even their athleisure. They were doing athleisure. My mother, went to Curves and, later on. But my mother didn't really know what to contribute. And I remember she said, well, come to my house. And they lived in a beautiful mansion, and it was decorated just stunningly. This woman had just terrific taste. And she was the ringleader, and all these other moms were such bitches, but she was so kind.
She was the hot, nice mom.
But she was also the ringleader.
Yeah,
and it was this weird thing where she actually is the best of the best, and she hasn't forgotten her soul.
Yeah.
And so she goes, well, bring her over. The kids will play downstairs and come to the meeting in the dining room. So my mother goes, and she sat her right next to my mom looks, like she's wearing a prairie dress, and she sat, it's just the body type she didn't feel included. And she sat my mom right next to her.
Uh-huh.
And all these women and me and my friend Allie sat on the stairs looking at the meeting. And I remember I couldn't believe it. My mom's sitting with all these hot moms, and she must be so awkward. But for my mother to do this meant she loved me. She's going to go and sit with all these intimidating women. And most of the ladies were talking about, who are they going to get to do flowers? Who, what's the venue? What's the food? What should be a snack, And then it came to the reading and writing part of the bat mitzvah.
Right.
What are these girls going to talk about?
Yeah.
What are they going to stand up, and we want them each to give a speech. And Tina deferred to my mother.
Yeah.
And that was a role she could they all didn't want to do any of that. My mother was I'm happy to look at the girls writing. Yes, that does mean so. My mother took on the nerdy part of it, but in the end, it ended up being too expensive, and we backed out. So I really thought the cost that they came to was $5,000 or $6,000 for the whole thing.
It's so crazy.
And my mother couldn't do it, and I was really bummed. But I really felt bad for my mother, because it was a hard place for her to tell me, I'm not going to be doing this group bat mitzvah, 12 other girls or whatever it is.
I'm not going to go into debt so you can
Well,
have
there wasn't even a question of debt, but it was just hey, she's I just don't have it. And I'm I hear it. So I kind of let it go, thinking oh, I'm not going to have. But then my mother came to me, and this is in her seichel, in her even though she's not the most emotionally in tune, she's very meat and potatoes. She was we could have a party for you at Zadie's at my grandfather. And she threw this party together for me. And I had a birthday that was maybe a few months earlier than most of my friends who were in that group. So I ended up being the first bat mitzvah.
Okay, that's fun.
And it was my own. I wasn't with a group. And it ended up being really, really nice that I got one. It was my own party. Everybody came, and we did it at DIY.
That's fun.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, so now do you practice Judaism? Are you like
I mean, Gabby says I'm like the most religious person she knows.
Gabby Lamb?
No,
Gabby?
Gabby Windy, my girlfriend.
Oh, your girlfriend
Yeah.
says you're the most religious person.
Yeah.
Really?
Well, I mean, there's, I still have a mezuzah on the door. I'm not an animal,
Yeah,
know.
yeah, you're not a
there,
pig.
There's things that I do. I tend to pray. I don't know if I'm praying to God or to, or just speaking things out loud. But
Do you eat
yeah.
kosher?
no.
Okay. My dad's a Jew.
Oh,
And my
good.
mom is Catholic, so I went to Catholic school.
Yeah.
Which was confusing because my dad, my mom was like, we have to go to church on Sunday, but your dad's not coming because he's a Jew.
Yeah.
And he was like casual at home having bagels, watching the football games.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Sounds like heaven to be him.
Yeah, it does.
Go to church. Enjoy.
Yeah. Go to church. I'll just watch the game.
Yeah, it seemed better probably for you to be a Jew as
Yeah.
a kid. You're probably like, fuck this.
Yeah,
He's at home
dude.
watching TV.
And because I grew up in the valley in Encino and there were so many
Oh my God.
Jews, lots of Jews in
So
Encino.
sorry to hear about that.
I'm a
That's
valley
brutal.
girl. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know you can't change it. My mom's from New York though.
Yeah.
She's from Queens.
Yeah, that happens.
What about your dad?
My dad is from San Diego.
He is?
Yeah, my dad's from San Diego.
What's his vibe?
He is a Hasidic Jew.
He's a Hasidic Jew?
Yes. He's still very religious.
Are your parents together?
No. We divorced, moved to Canada. No, my parents aren't together.
Damn, your dad's a Hasidic Jew.
Yeah,
That's-
and my mother's still pretty religious, but she's fallen into Jews for Jesus and some other things.
Jews for Jesus?
She's very addicted to religions and cults. And basically, my mother's religion plan, if you are looking to get my mother into your religion, all you have to do is stand at the end of any escalator with a pamphlet.
No.
Coming out of the subway, look at this. And he brought me the honey. Do you see the class of these people?
Yeah, that's the Comedy Store, baby.
Do you see and this is green tea?
Yes.
He had it?
Yeah, he had it.
They have a full coffee shop here now.
I love it. Shout out to the Comedy Store.
Yeah.
I'm not past here, but I'm here all the time.
You'll get past.
No, I think it's actually a good place for me. I actually think that I don't know. I'm always in a middle zone. I'm like the middle of I'm really a duality. I'm
what
really the
way?
binary. Like I'm Canadian, I'm American.
Right.
Okay. I'm a girl with boy, what's going on?
Uh-huh.
I'm in the middle of so many things.
Uh-huh.
I was so poor. I'm being okay now. So it's okay. I'm actually very comfortable in are we there? Are we in? I don't need to be in and I'm not, I'm always somewhere.
Well, that's a healthy mindset because
Yeah.
I was like, why am I not past? When I get past, everything's going to change.
listen.
And then you get past and you're like, oh, well, that's cool. Now what's next?
Yeah, exactly. So it's one of those things. And listen, I'm in my own way. I'm, anytime I see the booker, I'm beyond autistic.
I am too.
I'm like, I'm saying hi. I'm giving you my hellos. And,
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So it's also me. It's like, do I want to work with this person every day? Like once a week is enough for me to be here.
Yeah.
Where they're like, that's enough, Robbie. You know what I mean? So it could be
Once
good.
a week
It
is
could be
enough.
all. It could be all for for the better. Okay, should we take the honey out
Yeah, sure, I can get
of the shot? The honey is in the shot.
The honey is in the shot.
What do they say? Do we fly the honey? What do they say typically in movies?
I know what you mean.
Can we fly the honey? It's like something like that. It's some type of
it's
language.
Fly the honey or like it's not cut the honey. It's,
Yeah, can we something?
What is that? All right. Well, I don't know.
We'll figure it out. The steam is very nice. I don't think you're getting it on camera, which is because it really makes an aroma.
It makes an aroma. Let people know. Yeah, come to the Comedy Store. Get yourself a tea. Get yourself a coffee.
That's it.
How did you meet your girlfriend?
I met her outside.
Outside?
Yeah, I
Where?
was just, it was after a show I did. I met a friend for a drink, got to this place late because obviously we tend to work late and everybody was pretty much filed out. And I was like, let's bum a cig and go home. And outside Gabby was there.
And was it love at first sight?
It really was in
It
many
was?
ways. Yeah.
When was this that you guys met?
This is going back like a year and a half at least ago.
Okay,
yeah,
so
I
you've been
think.
together a year and a half.
Oh yeah,
Do you guys live together?
we do
How's that?
the best.
So you guys met a year and a half ago and it was love at first sight and you've been together ever since.
Yeah,
Do you fight?
yeah. But we don't fight like how you think we fight. We don't like brawl. We really discuss. We're very good at fighting, so to speak. That it doesn't have to feel like a fight.
That's
it
good.
feels frustrating to try and understand each other's side, but we're like hugging and she's as quick to get over things as I am. I always thought like, oh, girls drawn out for days and days.
Yeah.
No, she's like in 2 seconds we're smiling at each other and being like,
That's good. That's healthy.
I want you to be happy. I want you to be happy. What's it, like with, the stuff comes up with the moving, where you want to move, where I want to move. We both have good points about it. So that's been really nice to have a type of relationship where it's like, I wouldn't say we don't fight. We get to have our own opinion,
Yeah.
but we're not we're not shouting and we're not, we're just trying to get on the same page as fast as possible about whether it's logistical moving or it's like, oh, we're going out with her friends for this thing or my friend, all situational tends
Right.
to be just like, yeah.
So she's not a comic, right?
No, but she's very funny.
That's fun.
And she hates when I say I'm funny. I mean, check out her podcast. Don't take it from me.
What's it called?
Long-winded.
Long-winded.
Yeah. And while you're there, my podcast, Too Far, which the New York Times calls addictive, should be back any day now.
The New York Times called it addictive? I
yes.
believe that.
Yes.
Because I watched your set one time at the lab and you killed.
Really?
Yeah. And that room's weird. It can
Yeah,
be.
the lab is, the lab is hit or miss.
It's hit or miss.
But I'm glad that I killed for you there.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
So have your parents met your girlfriend?
But yeah, my mother just met my girlfriend. It was unfortunate a bit. We just went to Regina, Saskatchewan, where we had a bit of an impromptu family reunion where Gabby met about 5 or 6 of my siblings and my mother. And but one of my brothers was sick.
Okay.
So I think my mother was preoccupied
With your
that one of
sick
my
brother.
brothers is sick. But she
Yes.
did put on a good face and whatever. And we had fun, the siblings together and stuff like that. But I could tell that my mother was a little preoccupied.
Yeah.
Which in the best of times, she's autistic in her way to, so I could feel, and she has this idea now, and she's totally right, that I come in at her, and I do come at her. I know that she's homophobic now that she's Jews for Jesus. She's not really homophobic.
Right.
But she was like, well, we're all sinners. So I'm like, so I'm sinning. You're
Right,
here to
she's
tell me
like-
I'm sinning. And she's like, well, I didn't say it like that. I was like, am I a sinner? And she,
That's so
she
funny.
half laughs and she half is like, well, we're all,
Yeah.
So, I think it's a lot for her when I'm joking about her stuff when she's going through.
Right.
To me, it's like, okay, one of my brothers is not well, and I'm not that close with him.
Mhm.
He's done his own thing in life. But to my mother, it's her son, so it's a whole other vibe.
Right. Do you want to have kids?
No.
You know for sure you don't want to.
Yeah, no. I mean, I used to want 5 or 6, a small
5
family.
or 6?
So I have 9 siblings, so I was thinking,
You have
well,
9 siblings?
yeah,
That's fucking crazy.
it's
Where are you in the
crazy.
lineup?
I'm 7th. I have 6 older, 3 younger. So I always thought maybe I'll have 4, smallest I could think of.
4.
4, have a couple. To me, a couple is 4.
Yeah.
And I don't know. At a certain point, my life took over, and I really enjoy my life
Yeah.
to the point that I maybe thought my life would be about other people, would be about kids,
Mhm.
and my life has been more about giving the kid in me the life that she wanted.
I like that.
So it's been like a weird thing where it was like, oh, maybe as a kid I thought this isn't worth doing anything with. You're kind of robbed. Like, I grew up poor and I saw these rich people and I was like, you're probably never going to get, So I maybe didn't invest in myself as much, even though I always liked myself and had good things. But I think the idea for kids was probably like that, I'll do something else. Like, we're not going to
Right.
do this life. We're going to do those lives
Well,
or
it's
whatever
hard
that
to do
is.
this life as a comedian and then fit in the kids.
Right. And then so it naturally, my decision was made kind of like that this life actually, there was more to my life
Right.
in terms of me living a life. Not to sound selfish or something like that, but it ended up being like, oh, we're going to invest into this life before there's a, and that life, the life that I've, been able to create, has taken precedence over my desire to be in charge of another life. It's like I tell first of all, it's not easy for me to have kids. If I was in a heterosexual relationship and it's one fun night or whatever like that, sure, it's a different conversation. But at this point, I have to go out of my way. The physics aren't where they need to be. Yeah. So I get, the luxury of thinking, I think more hard because it's not natural to the relationship I'm in. I also don't experience those same pressures, I feel like. But
like you don't biologically feel like you want to be pregnant.
No.
Sometimes I drive around and I'm like, I just want to be pregnant. And
No,
it's like
I
an
get that.
intrusive thought out of nowhere.
No, and there's a biological need for that. I mean,
It's
not
weird.
It's like men have to spread their seed.
That's so
No,
gross.
men need to come and do that, but it's like you need to get pregnant. It's so gross.
It's so gross.
You got your placenta, you got everything.
my God,
it's
the
so gross. No,
placenta?
but it's as gross.
The placenta gives me the heebie-jeebies.
You got to eat it now.
No, you got to eat
better
it. If you want to be hot, you
better
got to eat it.
You better eat it.
You better eat it.
Get your steak sauce out.
No, put it in a smoothie, bitch.
And that's it. You got to eat it. So I don't know. My life just naturally took the course of just not having them because, and there are people who do it, but I don't, it's not like I hate the idea of kids. I like kids and I get along with kids, but we'd have to kind of go out of our way to do it. And now Gabby's my baby and I'm hers.
That's cute.
And we kind of just got to we kind of had tumultuous childhoods and get to now experience life, give ourselves the grown-up hoods.
Yeah. Well,
you don't get a childhood again, but you get to, now we get, it's kind of like some people take the L's early in life and then get the W's later. It's kind of like, the guys who peak in high school or something, hot jock, and now he's bald and fat and whatever.
And I love that
it's like,
storyline for him.
Yeah. And it's like, I kind of now get to do that, and it looks a little different, but also the world, it's the classic millennial, like the world. I'm like,
it's not great.
I'm not doing it. Like, I'm like, bro, the buck ends here. I'm not bringing you in to this.
I know.
But it's always probably been bad, and people had kids in the Depression or whatever, and I still think it, I think, that was bad. Like, I don't know. I just think it's not in a natural course for me. If anything, if I feel, to foster or to adopt, I talked about this on stage, but I do feel like, if I can't naturally have kids with my partner, it's like, well, we're already here. They're already here.
Yeah.
Let's just do this thing. It seems like a good fit if I really had that necessity for kids. So.
Yeah, my grandpa was adopted. He was actually a Holocaust survivor and his whole family was killed and he got put on a train and then adopted at 12. So I always think about that because it would be an interesting choice to want to give like a kid that's 10 or 12.
Yeah, well, then you can really talk to them. It's like, bro, what's your expectations? Like, I'm not going to do hockey. I'm not going to be a hockey mom. I'm not lugging such a bag.
Listen.
You can do soccer.
Yeah.
But, the equipment that goes into hockey, like, I just need to talk to you. Like, you're going to get your own room. You're going to get your own room. What else do you want?
I don't really want you jacking off in there. That's the other thing.
No, I don't care if he jacks off. It's his room. You can put a lot. No, I think a kid could probably jack off, of course. Kids have to jack off.
Then otherwise you become a school shooter if they're not jacking off.
Jack off. Do whatever.
Can you put the do not disturb sign on the door
Here's
if you're
my credit
jacking
card.
off?
You need to buy something, whatever. I don't want to know about it. I don't want to know.
Oh, you're like a cool mom. Maybe you
I
should.
wanted to have some freedom. But it's like, it's also going to be like, I'm not driving to this practice and that. Here's a bus pass, bro.
Really? You're really
Here's
against
a bus
driving to the
pass.
practices?
No, because I'm not doing it and I'm not getting
I think I
involved
could
in
get
the
into
sport.
that.
So, I think a 10-year-old, a 12-year-old, it's a real conversation. It's like, do you even like me? Do I like, is this going to go?
Is this a match?
Like, you're going to, is this a match?
Yeah.
Do you like me? Like, I cannot. Do you want to live with me?
Yeah.
This crazy lesbian? Is this something? Or would you rather be in this? Like, seriously.
I think lots of kids would want to live with you. I feel like it'd be fun.
Great. I give him a room. That's all I can
And your
give him.
credit card?
Well, if they wanted to buy something, they were embarrassed, I would tell them, just don't even worry about it.
But what would they be embarrassed to buy? Like lube?
Yeah, maybe they want a gag gift like a boob or something. I don't care.
They want boob
Maybe they want a
pasta?
fleshlight. I don't know what the kids want now.
You wouldn't mind if your son bought a flashlight on your credit card?
Not at all. I'm not buying it. I don't want to buy him the fucking fleshlight.
Right.
I don't want to know what kind of fleshlight he wants.
Right.
But if he's exploring himself in a natural, sexual, boyish,
way.
adolescent way,
Yeah.
I want him to have the stuff he wants, and I want him to feel good and all without knowing too much about it. I want him to keep decorum and clean. I'm not finding socks. You wash your own socks.
Yeah.
He'll learn the laundry. Like, I'm not going to involve.
Right. Okay. It's like if your daughter brought a vibrator, your son buys a flashlight.
I don't want to pick out the vibrator for her.
No. One time,
I don't want what she wants. I don't want to know that she wants a rabbit. Whatever the fuck she wants at 14. I don't want to know.
Right. See, I'm more like, why don't you use your own money to buy the rabbit, sweetie?
They don't have money. They're 12.
True. That's true. You're not wrong. Well, I'd rather her.
Their money comes from you, an allowance or whatever. So sure, but still your money.
And I would rather my son fuck a flashlight than get someone pregnant.
Literally. What do you mean? Of course, fuck the fleshlight.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? I don't know. I really have no problem with my.
With your
Also, if you get a 10-year-old or you get a 12-year-old, they're already them. I'm not here to change you. I'm here to support you.
Right.
Ostensibly, if you're a parent, it's like, I'm not here to change you in any way, shape. I'm here to support you.
Right.
Now, if something is criminal, we're changing that. Something that hurts you or puts you in a vulnerable position, yes, we'll change that. But short of that, short of it being, in your benefit, I think that if you get a 10-year-old or a 12-year-old, I'm thinking out loud, they are who they are. They're coming with a lot of stuff. They know things I could never potentially understand.
Yeah.
I do think one pro for me adopting is, I think because I grew up poor and with, it's tough for me to say I didn't have support because I recognize more and more all the support I did have.
Right.
As I age. It felt like I didn't have support because I went to this rich school where they had so much more resources, but I still got to go to that rich school, which is a great privilege to many. I had my grandfather in my life. There was a lot of goodness, but there was a lot of really hardship. And I'm sitting here talking to you, the old-fashioned way, like through just committing to doing this, just doing it, and no connections, no money, nothing like that.
Right.
So I'd be great for an adopted kid because they're coming from a life that. So if I could help them, give them one tip.
Yeah.
If I could give them some cheat codes, like, bro, they're gonna talk to you like this and this. If I can help him or her, just something, then that would be a great benefit to me. I would feel like it would be an asset for them to be with me versus if I had a biological kid. Now it's like, there was no reason for this. There was no
narcissism.
Well,
do you think it is that?
No,
if you want to see like a little version of yourself.
Listen, I love myself. I don't need to create myself. I don't love myself that much that I need like a statue of myself or I need a kid of myself or whatever it is.
A statue of yourself would be wild.
Yeah, and I think it's hard to. And then I think that for the people who do that and they realize their kid is a different
person,
kind of sauce.
Yeah.
They had a different mix-up. It can be hard. But I think, hey, kids, if you're 10 and you're on your phone now and you want me to be your parent, send me a DM. Let me consider. Financially, I might be in such a place in the next couple of years, and maybe you will change my mind on it if it's a good fit.
If you're a 10-year-old listening and you're looking for a
if you're a 10-year-old listening, if you're
looking
on the
for a
foster,
mama and mommy.
Yeah, I mean, Gab is not. I'd have to run it by Gab. I don't think she's going to be happy. She likes to be my baby. You have to understand. I have to run it by. We have a process.
Yeah, no, I get it. What are your favorite Yiddish words?
I don't know.
Schmuck?
No.
You don't like schmuck?
No, I like just Yiddish sounds, but I'm not,
Sounds?
Yeah, like nach or.
I don't know that.
Yeah, exactly. Like just isms.
Isms. Cool. My grandpa used to.
I say nach, nach one, nach two. Instead of like, I had this boss and a friend of mine, shout out to Mark DeAngelis, who's Italian, and he would say this fucking yuck. And I loved when he would, when he would say that, he would say this nyuk, because he would drive me to work, and he was just the best, and he's so funny. But I've Yiddishified that by I go noch one, noch two, nachamal. Gabby says nachamal. Nachamal is kind of like, So I like more of the isms than the words themselves.
Nachamal is like what? Like oy vey?
I don't know. No, nachamal is like already. It's like nachamal. It's like, okay, like, I don't know. If you know, you know.
If you know,
yeah,
you know.
When you're around us and you see us using it, it's through inferred understanding that you get to know what it means.
Okay, so she learned it from...
You can't define it with other words because it itself is not really a word.
Okay, she's not Jewish, right?
No, but
Okay.
she speaks more Yiddish than most people know.
She does? Well, yeah, you just said one that I've never heard in my life.
Yeah.
Wow. What else?
You tell me, what's this podcast about?
It's about whatever we want it to be about.
You have no structure?
It's loose.
Like your mom.
Yeah. Debbie's loose. Bringing Debbie into it.
Yeah, we have pets. Gabby has a dog. I have a cat. It's hell.
It's hell?
The dog is like a pouncing type of a dog. It's a Labradoodle.
Labradoodles
or a
are
golden
cute,
doodle.
though.
I don't know if it's a golden doodle, Labradoodle. The dog's enormous, and it can't calm down around the cat. It wants to play with the cat, but the cat's not fucking with you.
The cat doesn't fuck.
And the cat is my heart.
Oh, what's the
It's my
cat's
cat,
name?
her dog. Cat's name is Jocelyn, but I call her Nam.
Well, naturally.
Yeah, I don't know why. I have a million names for her, as everybody with pets knows, and she is a dog. I really only like the cat. The dog I tolerate.
Really?
Yeah, because it's not even like I like all, like somebody thinks, you're a cat person. I'm like, no, I like my cat.
That makes sense.
Fuck off. I don't know your cat. It's like people. It's like I have to develop a decorum. I might like some dogs. I don't like other dogs. I like some people. I don't like. It's not a monolith to me. Cats or dogs.
It's a case-by-case basis.
It's a case by case. I like my cat.
Yeah.
I don't fuck with your cat. Some of these cats is scaring me.
A lot of these cats scare me.
Yeah, and a lot of these dogs scare me. People have these pit bulls.
The pit bulls can be scary. I don't trust anyone who has like an exotic animal either.
No.
Like, leave your ferret at home, dude.
No. It's very weird. Well, you know Annie Letterman?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They good friend. Yeah. So Todd
has a terrarium.
He has 1 million animals, and we talk about it all the time. I think Annie's future, she'll be on a reptile farm. Like, there's no...
I've talked to Todd about his reptile obsession multiple times.
No, he's a good reptile dad. He's changed my perspective on some things. I will say he's taking care of these fuckers.
No, he is.
They'd be dead on the some lizard on the street. You're done.
Not if you're Todd's your dad.
Here they're getting live fucking crickets to eat.
And he likes to watch them eat, too. And he told me he sent a text to someone because he was out of town and he was worried that his turtle was flipped over. So it
could happen.
It could happen.
These are concerns for this man. The tea is divine, by the way. Shout out to the Comedy Store tea.
Wow.
Okay.
It's a very good cup of tea.
It is. Their
'Cause
coffee's
it's
good,
a
too.
mint green tea. I hope it's a green tea and not just a mint tea.
No, it's a green tea.
Oh, she gets upset now.
One has caffeine, one doesn't. You know,
you need that jolt.
No, it does remind me like decaf coffee. No.
Decaf coffee's, who is that for?
Actually, it's for my mother after a meal.
It's also for my mother after.
Yeah.
My mom loves it after a meal. She's like, it's too late for regular. I'll have
she
decaf.
loves the taste of coffee. My mother always has. But it's just the kind of thing that don't call it coffee. Call it shit water, call it coffee flavored drink. Don't say coffee.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Decaf coffee. Like, that's not coffee.
Yeah, no, it's not.
I guess it is, but it's like, I once thought I developed a depression. I was working with Mark, actually, and I was a writer's assistant. And I went to my boss, my other boss, Tim. It was like 3:00, and I said, Tim, I think I've developed a depression. I don't know. And he said, Rob, take all the time they were horrified.
Okay.
Robbie, oh my God, take all the time you need. Yeah, I never I was the kind of person, I'm in work, first in work, last in work. Yeah, I loved the job. I loved working the show. So I went to his office. I said, I don't know what happened. I think I have a depression. He said, oh my God, Robbie, well, don't worry. Like, go home.
Yeah.
And on my way out, I went to grab a cup of coffee. I'm like, I'm just so tired. I think I have a newfound depression because they say it like creeps up on you. You know,
Really?
like you don't know, and then you have depression. You need an SSRI. This is what I thought was happening. I said, I'm going to make an appointment immediately. I told him. He was like, my God. He was like, and then I went to grab, I just was passing the kitchen on my way out. And I was like, oh, I'll grab a cup of coffee on the way out. And then I noticed something was like different about the coffee, like the bag, like the one of the interns was filling the coffee and the bag was like a different. I was like, what kind of coffee is that? And she was like, oh, we ran out of regular coffee. We're doing decaf today. I'm like, you got to send out an email. There's 200 people who work here. Like, you can't just
Switch out the coffee and not
bro, we
tell
can't just
me?
be, if we have to, I understand. Say, hey, we're out of regular coffee. Nobody's mad at anyone. Just like, we're going to go, everybody would go to the Tim Hortons or whatever was nearby to grab coffee. But it's like, at this point, it's 3:00. I think I've developed depression, need an SSRI. Because I actually hadn't had my coffee that morning, which is a withdrawal. I normally have 1 cup of coffee in the morning. I wouldn't even have had the afternoon one if I didn't have such a deep depression. And I messaged him. I had I bought a coffee on my way home, and I messaged my boss an hour later. I said, I can't tell you how much better I feel. I'm sorry. I'll come in tomorrow. And they were like, please take all the time. And I was like, no. I'm actually good as new. I don't need any more time. I will be there first thing.
I just needed coffee.
Yeah. And that's how dangerous decaf coffee can be.
No, I believe that. Could have led you straight to Prozac.
We got to get the message out.
I know. It's important. Did you go to college?
Yes.
Where'd you go?
I went to McGill in Montreal.
Oh, I don't know anything about McGill.
People like to say it's the Harvard of Canada, but I like to call
I could see that for you.
Harvard the McGill of the U.S.
I like that. What was
Which
your
is
major?
I didn't coin. I did accounting.
Damn.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. I'm jealous of that.
Yeah, I did accounting, communications. The reason I majored in accounting was I wanted the least amount of school for the most amount of payoff. And when I got into McGill, I spoke to an academic advisor and I said, I want the least amount of school for the most amount of payoff.
Yeah.
Because I had scholarship the first year and then I was on subsidy the other 2 years. In Canada, in Montreal, you do 3 years of university versus a 4-year program. And you do pre-college. You do what's called CEGEP.
Okay.
So,
so you're good
I
with
was
numbers.
just like, yes, I was like, and she was like, you'll get a job. If you do accounting, they'll give you an internship this summer. Like you can work while you're in school. And I went to KPMG, great company, shout out. And they gave me a laptop for keeps. I'm like, for keeps? I'm
That's
like,
sick.
I will sign this. Like, I was so in. I'm like, this is the greatest thing. And it was a great summer. I started working that summer and I made money every 2 weeks in my account. And it was the first time I had money. And it was just a wonderful, I cannot stress how good money is enough. Like it was just so sick.
Especially if you don't have it and then you finally have some.
Yeah. And then like the job was like very confusing. I never knew what I was doing. But
Really?
But it was like fine. Like you could just pretend all day. Like I never got in trouble for it. Like nothing actually happened. I would be like, oh, okay. I would mostly read BuzzFeed and different things. But it's like
Oh my God,
sometimes
BuzzFeed.
they asked you to do like things. And then I would just say, I don't know how to do it. And they would kind of do it with you or for you.
Okay.
And that was like the whole internship. And then in the real job, you're still basically like, so then when I graduated, I had a full-time job there. So sick. And again, I barely knew what the hell I was doing.
Okay. But you knew enough to major in accounting, which was fucking
but
pretty
the
crazy.
classes were hard and confusing. School was but school generally for me, I was always very studious.
Yeah.
Like I didn't get to major growing up poor and then getting into such a school. I only applied to McGill because I was a Montreal resident and it was free for me. The only other school I was considering applying was I had this acting, this like teacher in high school, in CEGEP who really wanted me to apply to Yale.
Okay.
Because he summered in Yale or something. Like he had like some type of thing where he taught theater in Yale like once a year, like one class a summer or something. And he wanted to write a recommendation for me to go to Yale. Now, obviously, I'd heard of Yale
Right.
from Gilmore Girls.
Of course,
So-
naturally.
So Yale was wonderful, and
Yeah.
my mother and I love Gilmore Girls, but the application was like 90 USD, and I'm like, what am I made of money?
No,
So
each application is like
I never
$100.
applied
Yeah,
because I'm like, who has 90 USD?
yeah.
Like so I only applied to McGill, and he was like, why didn't you apply? I was like, it was 9. He would have given me the money, but it all worked out fine because I guess if I had gone to Yale, it would have been better because I would have been studying something that maybe I was more naturally inclined to. But then the other way was like, well, I need to make sure I can pay back the money if
Well,
I
that's
don't get
accounting,
scholarship
baby.
next year. And I just need money. And I didn't think that I could make money in any of the other things, but I always thought that my brain would be working in other ways. But
I mean-
accounting, you can only learn at school. Like it was something you had to go to school to learn.
And it's a useful skill to
Well,
have.
it's a scam, but yeah,
It is?
Yeah.
Well, I majored in communications, and that's a real scam.
But those were my favorite classes, communications.
They're interesting.
Yeah, so why was that a scam? I mean, work-wise, it's a scam, but you learn about
Because why
the
did I-
history of television and
Yeah, and I guess I'm communicating, but I don't know.
yeah.
I just don't know if I needed to go to 4 years of school for communications.
No, you didn't, and I knew that early
You know what
on.
I mean?
Well, because my mother always grew us up. School's not for everyone.
She did. My mom was the opposite.
Yeah, my mother would tell if my brothers were failing, like she wasn't like, "We'll get a tutor." She's like, "School's not for everyone." Like
Really?
Yeah, we were very encouraged. We were very discouraged that we could do anything. I never thought I really could do anything. I had a feeling I could, and my mother was encouraging. Just like I'm always contradicting, so was my mother. My mother was encouraging and always thought I was clever and always thought that we were, she always supported her kids and liked the arts, but we just didn't have money for any of it.
Right.
So it was this idea like, well, not everything's going to happen for everyone and whatever. And school did feel like for me, I was good at it. That like, why not just do something that like, even though the classes were confusing, I got through it.
Right.
I also worked, almost full time through it. So I had a different university experience than most of my peers who came from rich states and had dorms and this and that. I lived off campus very far. And
What was your first job?
my first ever job, I can't tell if it was Java U or McDonald's. I worked at like a cafe, Java U. Oh, my first job was Neon, was a clothing store. I
Called
believe
Neon?
it was Neon, the jeans store in Montreal, where it was in a mall.
I also worked in a mall.
Yeah, it was in a mall, the Agrinon Mall, and at the end of the Metro line. But we sold basically jeans, like at the time, like and lots of Dickies, and it was kind of like a Hot Topic meets like a Levi's
Okay.
or something. And I remember getting in trouble. I was terrible at folding.
Me too. I worked at Abercrombie Kids with
There
all
we
these
go.
anorexic bitches
Yeah.
who were trying to fit into the kid sizes still.
Mm-hmm.
They'll be like, it's fine. I'm a girl's 14 still.
I never could afford Abercrombie. It's all I wanted, and also it didn't sell in Canada.
It didn't.
Where I was, no. But Allie, who would go on these vacations, fancy vacations with her family, she brought me back a shirt from Abercrombie.
She did.
A baby blue, classic like Abercrombie with a number or something. I wore that shirt all the time. But her family always like, she bought me an Abercrombie thing. Like I
That's
have
so
an Abercrombie
nice.
thing. It was just so cool at the time that I had it. But I always wanted that type of brand. But then when I was working at the store, I got in trouble, like you, for not folding. And I remember Jimmy was this like, manager I had, and he was wearing the Travis Barker famous clothes
I
all the
had that
time.
on the back of my car, unfortunately. The
But you know
famous
what?
Stars
That's
and
great.
Strap
That's
decal
great. I
on the
kinda
back of my
want-
Civic.
I want the famous jersey now, but it's always sold out. Shout out if you're listening. I would wear that. But yeah, and I remember we had this meeting with the owner. Like, so there was a salesperson, Dre, who I loved, was a darling, but she was not aggressive enough for the job. Because I would come in, some like old lady would come in, nobody would go up to her. And I'm like, obviously she's not buying for her, she's buying for her grandkids, whatever.
Right.
And I'm like the cool kid. I'm going to
Yeah.
tell her what her kids want.
Yeah.
I'm like, they want this, they want that. And she was like, oh, thank God. Like, she doesn't want to walk in there either.
Right.
There's people who don't want to be, and then there's like, there was like rapper types or people who were coming in wanting to like match like the upper dickies, the lower dickies. And then like, they look all fresh and I would like lift their leg. I'd be like, your socks have holes in them. Yeah.
You
So
can't.
I would upsell things like that. I'm like, how are you going to take a girl home and then you take your shoes off? It's disgusting.
Yeah.
You looked all fresh, but it's the details. So I would
That
always
is
like
true.
upsell. Always upsell. And then I got in trouble. Jimmy was like, you have to leave, all your changing rooms. You leave so many things. You don't take it. I go, Jimmy, I don't fold. I move merch. Okay. I sell. Okay. You know who should be folding? Dre should be folding after every, when you have my numbers, I think I would do like 2,000 something in like $40 jeans, $40 pants, not high numbers, Saturday versus everybody else had 200, 300, 400 on the board. So I'm like, when I'm $2,000 ahead, I don't fold. Okay. She should be folding.
I'm selling.
And I'm selling. And so we have this full company because they had 7 stores or something like that across Canada. And the owner comes in and does this meeting. I stood up again. I said, I don't fold. I sell. You want me to move You want me to move product or not? I don't fold.
I sell.
And he let me just do my thing. I stopped folding completely.
Do they have those folding boards?
Yeah. A board. I said, I'm not doing it.
The folding board would give
I'm
me
not
such
doing it.
bad anxiety.
I said, if you want me wasting my time folding, it's no problem. Let's ask him what he wants. I think his name was Irwin or something. I said, let's ask Irwin what the hell he wants.
Big Irwin.
And he was total. And I said, bro, I sell. Look at my numbers speak. I take
You're a
breaks
shark.
when I want. I'm like 17. I'm like,
Wolf of Wall Street.
I was like $2,000 in Dickies. Like, are you
That's
mental?
crazy. I had the classic like Abercrombie experience when I worked at Abercrombie. My manager was doing cocaine in the
Oh, wow.
stock room and then always on her sidekick.
Oh my God.
Remember sidekicks?
I've never done cocaine.
You haven't?
No.
I have.
It's good.
I mean, it's good when you do it, but then the next day it's the worst day ever.
Oh, is it? Yeah, no. See,
I
don't
haven't
like
done
that.
it since my 20s. I don't really think
No, you know
can-
what? And I figure like once you get to like, once
What's
I
the
never did
point
it, like
now?
what am I going to try cocaine? I mean, it just doesn't make any
No, it
sense. You
doesn't
either
make
got
any
involved
sense.
in that crowd or you didn't. And I was always in more of a studious, my friends didn't, I wasn't around that.
Yeah, and then fentanyl.
No, I
thanks.
didn't do fentanyl.
No, but I know. But now
She does fentanyl.
I don't
You
do
heard it here.
fet. I don't do fet.
We're gonna have to cut that.
No, now it's like cocaine is just fentanyl too. It's like people just die. It's crazy.
Yeah, what's the deal? Why are they putting this thing? Is it cheaper to cut the cocaine with it?
It's way more addicting. I don't think it's cheaper. I think it's like it's just like extremely addictive and get people to buy a lot of your cocaine.
And I'm like, I don't want to see powders coming out of your nose, dude. As an adult,
Do people see that?
Well, if you see people do cocaine or ketamine or stuff like that, and they have like white powder coming out.
I never have seen that even.
You've never seen
No,
that? It's
no.
disgusting.
But you know what? I'm really not around at the afters or wherever
it's
this
not
is
even
happening.
the afters. It's like some guy in a band that you see at like 10 p.m. at a bar will have it.
Oh, see, I'm not even doing that. I do worry that sometimes because I have allergies,
That people think
and sometimes I'm like, especially when you fly, like I don't have like if I'm in my home, if I'm in LA for a long time, like it's no problem. It's when I get somewhere new,
everything gets dry.
like there's just a different climate, and I do worry people must think I'm on cocaine because I'm so. But this is just
This
Jewish.
is just you. This is just you off of green
yeah.
tea.
Exactly. I'll have a
Yeah.
green tea in the afternoon or coffee in the morning. But there was a time that I wanted to try whatever, and then I was like, well, we're not going to try now. Like this was like maybe at the end of my 20s, where I was like, should I try drugs? Like I can't believe
No.
I haven't done drugs. But you know
Have
what
you
I
smoked
do want to
weed?
do? Yeah.
Okay.
So weed I've enjoyed
Okay.
before, and I've not enjoyed before.
Yeah,
so
it could
weed's
go
hit or
either
miss.
way.
I want to have psilocybin
Okay.
treatment. I want to do it with a doctor 3 days in a row where I get that really crazy trip,
Yeah.
the trauma, because I do have, I want to, it helps with PTSD and trauma, and that would be terrific. But I want to do that really,
In a medical setting
yeah, or not even a medical, but somebody there like to see like
to
what's-
help you.
Yeah, that I'm not like freaking, like I want somebody who's sober
Right.
and walking me through it.
Right.
So I hope that treatment becomes available.
Yeah.
and covered by my Blue Shield insurance.
Blue Shield's good insurance.
Well,
But yeah, no, mushrooms. I've had really amazing mushroom trips.
Yeah?
Where I've left being like, okay, I feel more like been depressed and then done mushrooms and left feeling like,
and do you do it with somebody else?
yeah, outside normally. Like I think
But
best
is the other person on mushrooms?
a lot of times, yeah. You don't want that.
Well, I want somebody. I don't
You
want if the other
some
person.
sober person to guide you
Yeah.
through.
What if you do something crazy?
Yeah, I guess it just you have to know
You know
what you're
what?
doing
I have.
mushrooms with.
Okay. Here's the truth.
Mhm.
I've done mushrooms before, not enough. Like I wanted to try it, but I was scared to do it to the point of like severe trip because so I've never taken enough. Like it has felt more like weed,
Mhm.
but I really want to do like the serious trip of it.
Well, I've had friends, I could probably get you the info, who have gone to like retreats where
I
they've
want
done
that.
it with
I want the retreat because
yeah.
doing it ad hoc, like I haven't had the experiences that you're speaking to because
Yeah.
I don't think I did enough.
Mhm.
You can't. It's like changing lanes. You can't be trepidate. You got to just commit.
Right.
I was too trepidatious and whatever, and then
But that's
I
not
don't know.
necessarily bad to be trepidatious about doing drugs. I mean,
but I don't know that mushrooms I put in the same category as drugs. I
I
put
don't
it in a
them in the
medicine.
same category
Like
as
I
the
take
drugs.
Tylenol. I would take Advil if I had my period. Like that, I don't. I think fentanyl and cocaine is so artificialized
and ketamine.
that
I
it's
think,
like
too.
processed foods that aren't food.
Right.
I think natural plants, like if mushrooms is still mushrooms and natural, that can be. I'm all for it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Like I think, the research showing that psilocybin, i.e. magic mushrooms, are more helpful to PTSD and other mental illnesses is way better than taking, some of these SSRIs that are pushed through by the pharmaceutical industry.
Mhm.
Obviously, SSRIs have tremendous great benefits, but if there's a cheap, free alternative,
Mm-hmm.
the pharmaceutical industry is not going to love that. There's a reason they're suppressing it.
Yeah, there is a reason they're suppressing it.
Because apparently it works even better and it's natural. So who wouldn't pick that?
Yeah. No, but that's interesting that you haven't had that experience. That's
Like not a major trip. I just felt like high and it was fun.
like a microdose.
I don't know. It was supposed to be kind of a dose, but I don't know if we got good stuff or bad
Was
stuff.
it like an actual mushroom or was
Yeah.
it like a chocolate? It was an actual.
No, yeah. And I've done, it's just, I've never had the full trip. Like I want to take like, if there's chocolate, the whole bar. I
Yeah.
want to like, I do want to have like, not just the funness of it. I want to
have a
like
psychedelic
a
experience.
psychedelic trip. But that I would be afraid to if I was just with friends, whatever. Taking a little bit feels like smoking a joint or something,
Yeah.
which I can enjoy,
Yeah.
but it can go either way. It really depends the mood you're in.
What is like a bad weed trip for you? Like where's
Very
your head at?
paranoid about something medically.
Like am I breathing shallow?
Oh,
Like stuff like
yes.
that?
Yes, the breathing is ridiculous and just mostly just the breathing.
Yeah, like sometimes when I'm high and my stomach growls and I'm with my boyfriend, I'm like, is that the loudest stomach growl that I've ever made? Like for some reason I'm overly
You got to eat. You have too much of that Abercrombie in you.
Probably.
She's got too much Abercrombie in
I
her.
have a little bit of Abercrombie in me. Anyone
I
who's
love
worked at
Abercrombie.
Abercrombie is a little bit traumatized from working at Abercrombie.
Well, it was funny. Like they put up this documentary about Abercrombie that like, they're only hiring like, hot girls and whatever to work at and hot guys to work at Abercrombie. I was like, yeah, that was the whole brand. Like,
Well, now the CEO of Abercrombie is in trouble for like being a sex trafficking pervert.
obviously. But like, I'm like, tell me something I don't know. Like,
I know. Yeah.
it was like I was like, yeah, that was the whole point of Abercrombie. Like that
Yeah.
was
yeah.
like, this is just,
This is the brand.
they're
sweetie.
pitching it like it's a conspiracy. Like you had to look that way. I'm like, no, I know. That was the whole, that was
We
from
used
the
to have-
get-go.
We used to have these crazy Abercrombie parties, and they would be like themed. There'd be like a toga party, and it'd be like the whole staff from the Abercrombie adult store and the kids store, and everyone would just be like hooking up. It was a weird scene. And then they
There
used
was
to make like
nothing going on at Neon. It was
Nothing?
me, Jimmy and Dre,
you upselling everyone.
and me trying to do what I could on a Saturday. I'm like, and I would tell my manager, I'm like, this is, the buck ends here for you. I'm in school, bro. I'm
Yeah.
moving on from this.
Yeah,
So while you're like lecturing me this and that, it's like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, I think you've confused me with someone who cares. And I was unmanageable. That's why I ended up doing what I cannot be managed.
You can't be contained.
No.
That makes sense. What's the worst job you've ever had?
I mean, that was a really boring job. Oh, the worst job I had was in really high interest. This was after accounting. I was just trying to get like sales jobs after accounting that were like in money. And I sold high interest, like almost small payday loans.
You did?
Yeah. And it was fucking brutal.
Did you have to like cold call people and stuff?
Oh, yeah. I did it all. But it was like, this is when I was starting comedy and I couldn't quite work at the accounting firm because the hours were so crazy. You would have to like live at the firm. So it was like, I now have enough skills that I can do a more high end, I can make checks of $10,000 on a bonus or whatever. And it was basically to the line without going over of legality. Like It was kind of like The Price is Right. Like, how illegal could you be? Like, how legal could you be without being illegal, without going over? And I was yelled at all the time, and they yelled at everyone. And the director of sales, she was fucking nuts. And she would like give like she was like this like she thought she was like a hot rich Jew, and she was a rich Jew, and she was really annoying. Not to give a bad name, but who cares? You did this to yourself.
You are who you are, bitch.
And she would get up and give these speeches about how greed is good.
No.
Yeah, and like you need greed. Like she fashioned herself some kind of like a Wolf of Wall Street, but she was such a dud. Anyway, I recorded her yelling at me once, and she like literally came at me, lunged at me physically to grab my phone. Like it was out of a movie, like bad job.
That's bad.
And I made so much money doing it, and I was really good at doing it. And I basically scammed businesses. And so, the other thing was these were all businesses. So that's the only good news.
You're
Wasn't
skimming
individuals.
business. Yeah.
It was like, people who
Corporations.
owned like 3 Ramada Inns or 3, Holiday Inn Expresses or hotel, or like, it was like they needed like $50,000 for a renovation or whatever. And we sold it to them for like $75,000 or something. So these people weren't destitute.
Right.
But they were on the verge of maybe not making their business. They would have had to do something else. But that's the only solace I take. But it was a really shady job.
But you were good at it.
I worked in the cognitive. Well, yeah, I just did it. Like, it's just like, fuck, I hated it. I was so stressed. My girlfriend at the time hated that I worked. Like, it was just the worst job ever.
So have you always had girlfriends? Never boyfriends?
Yeah.
Never been attracted to dudes?
I have. I find men overall more attractive than women.
You do?
But I've never fallen in love with a dude.
I get that.
Like, I think they're good-looking specimens. They build muscle easy,
Yeah.
There's something good about, like, they've got a good frame. You know what I mean? They got good hands. And, there's something really attractive about men, and I enjoy them. But I've never fallen in love.
With a man.
I like kind of the more ethereal, like, women are, there's a lot more different kinds of attraction to me with women.
Right.
And there's obviously an emotional, and, I'm gay. So,
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
It's weird even me saying I'm gay, but I am gay.
Why is that weird?
How weird. Imagine you said I'm gay. It's bizarre to be gay.
Well, is it weird to be straight?
No, it's assumed.
It's assumed? Even still now, it's weird to say you're gay?
You say it like it's something to say.
Yeah.
You never say I'm straight. You never get asked like, oh, do you date only boys or girls?
People have asked me if I've dated
I know,
girls
yeah,
before.
but I'm saying to a guy, like, would you ask him, like, do you date boys? Like, I get asked more.
People come up to you and be like, are you gay?
No, but like, even the question,
Yeah.
I'm having the open, even the question, like, oh, but and you've always dated girlfriends? You've always, like, we wouldn't say that to a dude, like, oh, you've always had girlfriends? Like, have you ever had boyfriends?
That wouldn't be the assumption. Right?
Like, you wouldn't, it's interesting.
Yeah.
And it just is. It's not wrong. It's a curiosity.
Yeah, it is. Because it's like, because I know that you're dating a woman now, so I just wanted to know if your initial attraction was always to women.
Yeah, but see, but do you understand what I'm saying? The
Yeah.
larger, and I think that's fair.
Yeah.
And all is just what it is.
Yeah.
And I think that's interesting. So it was just to note because we see it sometimes in real time.
Yeah.
But I think it's I think it's a fair question because it's a curious, and you should ask anything that you're curious about if you live in a society where you can. And some places don't ask. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is just that small difference. And in fact, guys might, if I said that to a guy, like, "Oh, you've always had girlfriends. They would be like, "What the fuck?"
If you asked a guy that.
Yeah, they don't. What do you
play
say?
that.
I'm gay.
Yeah.
What am I fucking gay?
But does it also depend on the guy and where you are? Do you know what I mean? Like the circumstance? Like if you're dating a guy who...
Have you ever,
Yeah.
in all the male guests that you've had on this podcast who've had girlfriends, straight men, say, you've always had girlfriends? Do you ever have a boyfriend?
If I had a gay guy, I might ask if they've ever had a
Right,
girlfriend.
because he's gay.
Right.
That's what I'm suggesting.
Right. I mean, I've had conversations with women.
But
Yeah.
women, because women can be fluid.
Yeah.
We're making out. You're at the Abercrombie Fall.
Yeah. I'm at a toga party.
By the way,
at that-
this is all not bad. This is just what is. I'm observational.
No, I get what you're
And
saying.
it's an interesting observation. So that's why I say sometimes it's weird that I'm gay, because I'm like, oh yeah, it is a whole other curiosity.
Right.
Still, not of the time, not of anything, just because it is more unusual than the other. Just like many other things about me. I wear glasses. Many people do not.
They're good glasses.
People are curious about that. How much can you see without your glasses?
How
I get
much
this
can
question.
you see without them?
People want to try them on. They want to know.
They
I
do?
bet people want to try on gay.
Can I try on your glasses?
See, men can't try on gay. Women can, but people definitely want to try on gay, and they're not allowed to. So that's even worse. I wish they could.
Yeah, people do want to try on gay.
Yeah. Girls
Women
get to
can,
try on. Yeah.
men don't really get.
No. If you're a man, you're trying on gay. You're fucking gay.
Well, yeah, I feel like you're just. It's
Gay.
easier to be closeted if you're a guy and you're trying on gay.
It's easier to be closeted.
If you're like, it's easier to not tell people.
Yeah, maybe not easier, but it's more it's more encouraged.
Right. That's
yeah,
what
it
I
might
mean.
be harder for them, and then they're bursting, and you
Yeah, 'cause
understand.
they're
You're
just
like,
like,
bro,
"I just
just
want
come
a
out.
dick."
You're like,
Yeah.
bro, just come out.
Yeah, just come out.
How did we do on this podcast?
We've really covered a lot.
I had a good time here.
You did?
Yeah,
I'm
I had a
glad.
really good time.
I'm
I'm happy
glad.
to have a discussion again. I think we had a great podcast. What do you think?
Yeah, I thought it was great.
I think we covered a lot. It was loose. It was fun.
You work out? Do you go to the gym? I just joined a gym. That's why I'm asking.
I
Anybody has
joined a
tips?
gym in April. I signed up for a year and I've gone 3
Wait,
times.
me too. It's Equinox. They force you the year. Did they do it?
Mine's not Equinox. I'm not on that level.
Well, we got a good deal because I dragged Gabby in, so you got a discount.
So you guys you're at Equinox. I did see Lana Del Rey at Equinox.
Oh, really?
In the
Okay, so
dressing
I'm
room.
doing it, and the only reason I did it was because the showers are so beautiful,
And they have
and
nice
I like
products
they have
in
nice
there.
products.
You go with an
They
empty
have
bottle,
nice
you
products.
fill it up.
Oh, that's
You do
really
that?
smart. That's some Jew
Yeah,
shit.
dude.
That's some
You
Jew
bring
shit.
you bring a little travel guy.
But the shower was freezing. And
It
I said
was?
to them, and they said, oh, yeah, we have a plumber. And I said, the shower better be fixed. This is crazy. I'm here for the shower. But yeah, I figured if I do $200 a month, which is kind of what I'm paying with the discount,
Yeah,
like maybe it'll force me to go.
that's what I thought too.
And I do this every 10 years with the gym membership. I'm like, if I get the gym membership, because I remember 200 to me was $30. Like I remember doing it in Montreal, like it was like the equivalent of a Planet Fitness, or I was like $30 a month.
Worth it.
I'm going to do it. And I never did it. So I think I'm in that pattern. We'll
It's
see. I'm going to
fucked
go
up.
after this.
When did you get the gym membership?
Last week.
Okay. I think if you can like get in a flow of going multiple times a week, because like, what I do is I go, I'm signing up for a year and I'm going every day.
No.
And that's manic
I'm
and
2
that's
to
mentally
3
ill.
2 to 3 times, but I do need to cut out Chinese food. I need to cut out
Chinese
Indian
food?
food, Ethiopian food, all of my different cuisines.
What's going on?
I just like to have something different every night.
Why do you have to cut it out?
No, you can't eat any of this.
You can't eat.
It's all
well,
terrible.
the Chinese food has
I
lots
need
of
to have
MSG.
I need to have protein.
We all need more protein.
I need to I'm supposed to do protein, which I don't even really know what it is. And so I'm going to figure that out, and I basically have to eat less and work out more.
You look good.
No, I know, but this is an accident. I'm kind of like thin but lumpy.
Relatable.
Like I am thin, but it's not. Some girls
wanna
you see that
tighten
are
up?
thin, that they're whoa, and some girls you see are bigger, and they're like, well, I'm lumpy a little bit.
Okay, well, you can change that
Anyway, thank
with
you
your
for
new
having
gym
me.
membership.
Oh,
Yes.
Robby Hoffman, follow me.
Do you have any shows coming up you want to plug? This will come
My
out.
podcast, Too Far, which again, the New York Times calls addictive, will
If
be
the
back
New York Times says it's addictive,
imminently.
it must be.
I'm hoping it's back imminently. And you can follow me on Instagram for any nudes or anything else.
All your nudes on Instagram. Okay, so this will come out a week from tomorrow.
Oh,
So if
Yom
there's any
Kippur.
shows you want to plug too, it'll be in November, Xavier. It'll be out the 6th, the day after our election day.
Oh, that's really fun.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Oh.
to the future us, what do we want to say on the 6th?
I hope that this
Are you having a party? Like, where is everybody watching the election?
in my bed. I don't know. I don't want to be out in the world during
no, guys
election
coming home
day.
a day early.
Yeah, where are you guys?
We're gonna
watch it?
spend all day watching the numbers come in. It's gonna be so crazy.
It's going to be so crazy. I have such bad anxiety. I want it to be done.
I know. I think everybody has anxiety. Well, thank you for having me.
Yes, and thank you for coming on, and thank you guys for listening to another episode of Shank. Speaking of the election, Kim Congdon and I will be in D.C. at the D.C. Comedy Loft the 14th, 15th, 16th, 5 shows. Get tickets. And then I believe I'm coming to La Jolla Comedy Store in December. Look out for that at Princess Shank. You can find me here every Wednesday on Shank and every Monday on This Bitch. Patreon.com/Sara Weinshenk for bonus content. And we'll see you guys next week. Bye. Thank you.
Great pod.
Thank you so much.
Great pod.